Locho sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe chinle pege drolo zambe tseprache pande lame shabla solvade Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timuni Shasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke kudan dagi lo, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tukdan dagi, ten yerme chintu jingi lo. Makyuke kudan dagi lo, makyuke sundan dagi nga, makyuke tukdan dagi, ten yerme chintu jingi lo. Sangye chedan tsoge chonamla, chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi, dagi jinso gibe sonamgi, trola pinchira sangye druparshu. Sangye chedan tsoge chonamla, chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi, dagi jinso gibe sonamgi, Trola pinchra sangye druparshu. Sangye chedan tsoge chonamla. Chancho pardo dani kyapsochi. Dagi jinso gibe sonamgi. Trola pinchra sangye druparshu. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, I was just thinking, and I remember that when talking about transforming death into the Dharmakaya, there are many doubts that may arise to us. As some days ago we were discussing about the fact, how can there be together at the same time appearance and emptiness being perceived at the same time? This is only something that a Buddha can perceive because appearance is relative, emptiness is absolute, and so on and so on. And actually there is this book, which I think many of you already have, but it's the discussion between wisdom and ignorance, written by Panchen Losang Gyaltsen, the same one that wrote the Guru Puja. The complete title would be The Blazing Meteor That Destroys the Rocky Mountain-like Defenses of the Ego. And Dakzin Shaktep, which is a debate between wisdom realizing selflessness and the conception of self-grasping, with an introduction to the basis, path, and result in Mahamudra. It's a wonderful book, and from the verse number 552 to verse 630, it's talking exactly about the aspects on the meditation of transformation of death into the Dharmakaya. And it starts in the verse 552, it's still in the part where ignorance is talking, and is bringing up all the doubts that we may have. How can I unite the perception? How can it possible to unite the perception of emptiness together with the identity of self, I am, because I am is a relative thought and emptiness is absolute. How can these two go together? And then after it's talking about the meditation on the clear light itself, and saying that we should not meditate on clear light as being separated, as I am here looking at clear light, but I must be clear light in the moment that I meditate on it, and so on. So there's a lot of things. We're not going to go through it right now because it's 100 verses that it would take for us now. It's almost 100 verses, 80 verses. And anyhow, based on what we have already seen and so on, I think most of it you can understand. So I think it's something quite good. So I just wanted to remember, because we have this book, we already went through it in the past, we did all the teachings and so on. And if for those who are really interested in the correct view of reality, and at this part specifically on the meditation on the clear light, it's really, really very, very clear. Even though it's in verses, being on the right context, already having the knowledge priorly, it really helps a lot to make clarity and to understand things better. Okay? But still, it's a text that you need to read sometimes. Not once is not enough, because it's written in verses, and meaning is deep. So you need to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Then slowly, slowly, you will get deeper and deeper into it. Okay? So, when talking about the 9 unions or the 9 mixings, it's important, first of all, we need to understand that the 9 mixings are divided into 3 parts, which is our awakened state, sleeping state, and the actual process of death, birth and rebirth. Okay? And whenever we talk about a mixing or about a union, the union is made out of 2 parts. It's 2 things that mix together, 2 things that unite together. Okay? So when we talk about the 9 unions, basically we need to have 18 parts. That because each one of them needs to unite together. Okay, so we need to know what are these parts, first of all. So let's see first part A, the first part. Then after we connect with the part B, which ones are going to be connected. So the first part, we have the process of death. We ought recall what we can call also the death of meditation, which means the process of death within the state of meditation, which is basically we simulate our own process of death in a meditative state. And when we do this really in the right and deep way, the winds will absorb at the central channel, and we will experience that similar experience of the winds absorbing, losing our consciousness, and so on. So this is something that will happen, we will go through in meditation. So this experience similar to death, which is the simulation of death within meditation, is the first part. Then we have the simulation of bardo in meditation and the simulation of rebirth. Okay? Someone may ask, okay, but why do we need to simulate death and so on? Basically, death is one of the most precious experiences that we can have. Actually, if used in the right way, it's something extremely precious for us. It's actually the best opportunity for our spiritual path during our life, if used in the right way. If not used in the right way, it's just going to be another moment of going through a moment of change. Okay? And change is not always bad, huh? So, also because sometimes I think, okay, this is just, I didn't say in Italian, but it's a thought that I have sometimes. If we are not able to direct our mind slightly, at least in this life, as times go by, we simply get a more gross mind which is more and more conditioned by traumas and by different types of experiences. And then the mind gets each time more and more heavy and more suffering because it creates so many things, because happened this and happened that. Sometimes it's easier to die. Die, clean up, gross mind, start again from the subtle level. You know? In a way, it is like this. And also because there are many things actually. Okay, every state is possible to change, generally speaking. But sometimes, we are able to make our minds put them in such a difficult state, physically and mentally and so on, that if we look from this perspective, the day that we die, we lose one way this beautiful opportunity that we have to practice the Dharma, but another way this gross mind with all its problems and traumas and it's gone. We have a subtle mind that continues from life to life, where we still bring the traumas and things also from life to life, but in a much more subtle level. Okay? So the point is that we don't need to see death as something so bad. Okay? On the other way, this doesn't mean that, okay, I have too many problems, let me die so I can solve them a little bit. It's not working in this way either. Okay? The point is that when our moment will come, and it will come, then in one positive thing is that a lot of this heaviness that we carry, which we accumulate during this lifetime, it's going away, because it's a lot of the parts which is, based on the culture and the mentality and based on the traumas of this life and expectations and all this type of things, they all go away with this life, The imprints of all of this we take with us, but the positive and negative, but the gross aspect of the mind itself not. So what happens when we die, basically, is that our gross mind and body dissolves, our subtle mind and body dissolves, and we remain in direct contact with our very subtle mind and body. So, if we are able to direct our very subtle mind in the right way, at that moment, then we are able to make changes within ourselves in a very deep level. That's why the objective is to meditate on emptiness, which is to generate wisdom within the very subtle level of existence, which is within clear light. Okay? So in order to be able to do that at the moment of our own death, we need to train before. So first we train as we are awake in our own meditation. So that's why we have the death of meditation, the bardo of meditation, the rebirth of meditation, which is basically the simulation of death, the simulation of bardo, the simulation of rebirth. Then we have the next three parts, which are basically, we have the process of falling asleep, because when we fall asleep, it's exactly the same process of dissolution of the elements as when we die. Then we have the process of dreaming. The dream state is very, very similar to the bardo. And then we have the awakening, and the process of awakening is very, very similar to rebirth. So this is the next three things that we need to mix up. Then we have the actual death, the actual bardo, the actual rebirth. So these are the 9. I have the death, bardo, and rebirth of meditation, which is a simulation. I have the sleep, dream, and waking, which is the death, bardo, and rebirth of sleep. And then there is the actual death, bardo, and rebirth. Okay. So what do I need to mix them with? The death of meditation, of sleep, and the actual death needs to be mixed up with the Dharmakaya. Now I will explain a little bit better what we mean by that, but in few words is, We need to mix the death with Dharmakaya, the Bardo with Sambhogakaya, and the rebirth with Nirmanakaya. So we do this during the meditation state, during the sleep, and during the actual process of death. So these are what we call the 9 mixings. Okay? The 9 mixings is one of the most high levels meditations that exist within Vajrayana Buddhism. And it's really something very, very important at the same time. For me, the 9 mixings is in a way the proof that it's possible to reach enlightenment. Because it is showing to us a very clear pathway how to transform our mind in the deepest level, starting from the gross mind to the very subtle mind. So, and giving us a very practical method actually, which is basically familiarize your mind through meditation, then bring that experience of meditation to your own sleep, which is already a more subtle form of mind. Then bring the experience of sleep into the actual process of death. Okay? And that's where we can actually get the result, because that's when we really go to a very subtle level of consciousness. But in order to be able to do that, it is said, in order to do the 3 transformation in the actual death, we need to do the 3 transformations in sleep. In order to be able to do the 3 transformations in sleep, we need to do first the 3 transformations in meditation. Okay? Some people may ask, but how can I do it in sleep? That's too difficult. No? Yes, it's difficult. But it's not because of that it is impossible. Basically, for example, when during the day we think a lot about something, when we fall asleep, is it possible for us to dream about it? To direct our mind in that way? Yes. When I asked the example I gave some days ago, when I was working to make these paintings here of the Gompa, it was hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in front of the computer doing all the job. And I would dream with pixels. And I would dream with the tools of Photoshop. Because that's what I was looking for 18 hours a day. So when I dreamt, where did my mind go? In the same direction. I was dreaming I need to do this, then I did that, and then even different dreams. They were the tools that was being used in the dream was also Photoshop tools. No? Why? Because so many hours with the mind directed in the same way. So there is a difference, sure. If I make a meditation on the 3 transformations 3 times a week for half an hour, there is one type of familiarization. If I do it every day for 1 hour, another form of familiarization. If I do it 3 times a day, another level of familiarization. If I do 4 times a day, another level of familiarization. If I do it 1, 2, 3 times a day for 1 hour, then at the moment of sleep I concentrate myself also. There is a very big possibility of actually making the same meditation while I am asleep also. Because that's the direction we give to the mind. Okay? So, some people may say to me, that's a bit too much. Okay, I already dedicate so much time for the Dharma when I am awake, even when I am sleeping. But actually, that's the most wonderful thing that we can do. Okay? So first, I will just go briefly through the 3 transformations as we are awake, because we already saw this the last days. And then we will go through the 3 transformations while sleeping. Okay? So what happens is that in our own process of dissolution, the first part, I wanted actually to explain today mainly the dissolution of during the sleep, but okay, anyhow, today we go again to the process of awakening meditation, and then tomorrow, the day after, we will see it during the sleep time. What happened is that at the moment of the dissolution of death in meditation, we visualize and we imagine the whole process of death happening. Okay? There are different ways technically how to do this meditation. We can meditate with the hun, the syllable hun at our heart, or with the bam if we are doing Vajrayogini practice, or with the tam if we are doing Tarachitamani practice. Normally hun is the most common one, and also Yamantaka practice is the hun. And then we can also do without the sit syllable in the heart and visualizing like when Rinpoche teaches, as we do with the Lama, Bama, Rama, Yam, Om, Ah, Hum, O, which is the different representations of the dissolution of the elements also. Basically, the technique, the method that we use for such dissolution is not the most important thing. The most important aspect is for us to meditate on the actual process of death. So the dissolution of earth into water. The dissolution of earth, then we imagine really that we experiences the mirage-like vision, and that the body gets weak, and all the environment around us dissolves into the body. When we say that the whole universe dissolves into our body, it's not that the universe does not exist and it's everything dissolving into us. It's that we are losing the ability to perceive the world around us. Okay? As the earth dissolves, as our gross body starts dissolving, we lose the ability to perceive the world. That's why everything dissolves into us. Then our body dissolves into the heart. Why? It means that we are losing the ability to perceive our own body at that point. We are losing gradually our own capability of feeling the body and experiencing it. That's when we visualize that the body dissolves at the same time. And that in the heart, if we visualize the 6 syllable or not, basically, when we talk about 6 syllables, we need to understand one thing also, which is important. What is a syllable? It's a sound. Are letters that represent a sound. So, hum, for example, are letters. There is the ha, there is the achum, there is the little a, there is the u, there is the ma. So these letters together create the sound hum. For example, the sound om, there is a, u, and ma. Together that creates the sound om. So basically, what happens is that a syllable are different letters that together make a sound. But a syllable actually is a representation of a sound. Okay? So this, generally speaking, in any context, when we visualize the 6 syllables, if it's maybe difficult for us, to actually imagine the actual Tibetan 6 syllable with its writing and so on, which is not easy for many of us, or to visualize the Sanskrit, or it's quite difficult. Even if we think originally the Tibetan syllable never existed in this sense. Everything was done with the Sanskrit syllable. Then many great masters did it in Tibetan, and they translated, and it's blessed also in Tibetan to do it like this. And our lineage comes from Tibet. Our masters have always done like this, so it's very, very blessed way of meditating. But still, when we visualize the hum, the important thing is not the letter, it's the sound that it represents, the vibration. Sound is vibration. So, for example, the 6 syllables are said to be as small as a mustard seed. So it's like a little dot of light in the size of a mustard seed with for example, blue in color with the vibration of hum, red in color with the vibration of a, white in color with the vibration of om, yellow in color with the vibration of tram, green in color with the vibration of ri. So this is basically, when we talk about the 6 syllable, it's this small form of vibration. It's something that is not the actual letter. Okay? This is also one other aspect that is important for us to understand. So, in the moment of dissolution, we visualize the world dissolves into our body gradually dissolves into the heart, and then in the heart, if we visualize the 6 syllable, okay? Otherwise, if we simply visualize a little beam of light, which is basically representing our subtle body and mind, which also dissolves gradually until there is totally nothing, which is the black vision. And then from that nothingness appears clear light. Okay? So basically, what we visualize is that we imagine that the whole universe is dissolving, earth dissolves into water, water into fire, fire into wind, white vision, red vision, black vision, total darkness, clear light. Okay? Within the state of clear light, actually within the whole process of dissolution, we start with the mantra Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddho Hang. which is how we start and how we should end this meditation also. Because all phenomena lack inherent existence, are empty, are of the nature of emptiness, and so am I. Actually, if we do literally the mantra Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma. Swabhava means nature. Shuddha means clean, pure. Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma. Sarva means all, Dharma means phenomena. So, if we make the literal translation, means Om, which means body, speech, and mind, means the universe, has many different meanings. Om, nature, so, pure, all phenomena. Okay, so all phenomena are of a pure nature. What's the clean nature? They are clean of inherent existence. They are pure of inherent existence. So all phenomena lack inherent existence. Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma. Swabhava Shuddho Aham. Which if we don't say Aham, we say Shuddho Hang. Instead of saying Shuddha Aham, it becomes Shuddho Hang. Okay? So, which means Swabhava nature, Shuddha pure, Aham I am. So, pure nature, all phenomena. Pure nature I am. This is literally the mantra. So it means all phenomena are of a pure nature, and so am I. I am of a pure nature, or I am this pure nature. It can also be translated in that way. Okay? I am such pure nature also. So there is the main meaning is that first we meditate on emptiness in union with great bliss. And then as we go through the dissolution of the elements, every aspect that appears, like first we concentrate on the mirage-like vision, and then we have the smoke-like vision, and all the experiences that we have and the visions, we should always keep them as being empty of inherent existence. We should always keep this awareness. And until we reach clear light, where we keep the awareness that everything appears nothing more than an infinite emptiness full of light, that is in its nature empty of inherent existence, it's of the nature of emptiness. And I experience all of this through great bliss. It's inseparable of great bliss, and I am the union of great bliss and emptiness. Okay, I am this experience. So I generate my own identity. It's not a conceptual way in which you say, I am this, what is happening, I am the Dharmakaya. No, it's a more spontaneous way through which we let, as we experience the union of great bliss and emptiness, there is nothing more there than this, and I still exist. So there is the identity at that moment. Okay? One very important thing is that as we do this meditation, there is two different ways of doing. A very, how could we say, a beginner way and an advanced way. Okay? The beginner way of doing the practice is that we meditate on the dissolution of the elements. We do the simulation of the process of death as something that is not happening with us. The dissolution of the elements is there, and I am here. Oh, you look, earth has dissolved into water. Okay, what I'm going to have for lunch today? Okay, then now which point we are? Okay, now water should dissolve into fire. Okay, water is dissolving into fire. Okay? We do the dissolution and this as if we are looking to it, not as if it's happening to us. Okay? This is the very beginner way of doing. It's somehow okay, but not okay. It's fine, but not really fine, in the sense that it's not completely wrong in the beginning, but it's also not the right way how to meditate. Okay? I say it's fine because we cannot expect from ourselves right away to do the meditation in the perfect manner. First, we need to familiarize ourselves with the whole process. By watching it, it looks like it's as if we are watching a movie somehow. We are looking at the dissolution in front of us happening. Okay? But the actual way of doing it is that we are going to visualize, we're going to experience it, to simulate it as if it is really happening. And not just as if I am imagining it happen, I am looking to it somehow. Okay? So, it's possible as scientifically also is said that our mind, our brain, basically scientifically saying our brain, cannot distinguish between what we imagine and what we experience directly, basically. No distinction. In the sense that the areas of our brain that are activated when we really imagine and visualize something is the same areas of the brain that are activated when we actually have that experience. Okay? So, what it's meaning here is that visualization is a very powerful tool. Okay? So at this point, it's possible for us to have experiences in life, like we could call somehow a type of a daydreaming, where we imagine something, but we really go so deep into that imagination that we really experience it. We can physically feel it. We can physically start sweating or feel cold or heat, and we could feel different sensations of the body through imagination. Okay? Similar to that, when we are meditating on the dissolution of the elements, it's not I then am here sitting looking at the world that dissolves into me, but I know that nothing is really happening. Okay? We really imagine everything dissolving and we experience it. That's what's happening at that moment. We let ourselves go into it. We let away that little stupid part of our mind and say, no, nothing is happening. I must keep control over everything. Let it go. Just let everything dissolve. And then the water dissolves. We experience that we are falling down. We experience the eyesight that is losing its power. We experience the gross mind that is actually completely losing its strength. And like this, we let ourselves go through the process of death. We really simulate it as a reality, not as something that as we are watching as a movie in front of us. Okay, is it clear the difference? Okay, is it easy? No, really. Is it possible? Yes. How? Through practice. Okay. So what can happen is also sometimes two things can happen. One is that we start to get this type of experience, which is not anymore like imagining, but it's like simulating, like really having the experience. And then we may get afraid and we stop. This is one possibility. Other possibility also is that we start to have the experiences, then we like so much, we want to keep it. So we start to conceptualize it, and then we lose it. So we need to keep our mind in quite a relaxed manner, and we need to let it go. We need to flow within the experiences of the process of death, and not try to control it. Okay? So, in order to be able to flow in the right way, it's important for us to repeat it so many times that it becomes totally spontaneous. Even like the order of the process of death. Okay? Like what is happening at each moment. I have earth, water, fire, wind. White, red, black, clear light. What is happening at each one of these moments? What are the experiences that I should be having? And so on and so on. We familiarize ourselves to a certain level that we simply experience it and it comes spontaneously one after the other what is happening. Okay? So as we go through this experience and we let it simply happen and we go really through, we experience the process of death as we simulate it, we lose completely this gross identity of this life that we have right now. We lose the name, there is no more name, there is no more body, there is no more things that I possess. All of this is gone as we lose it. Okay? But it's not I am here still here watching. No, it's gone. Within that state only remains a very subtle state of mind, which is the clear light, that realizes the lack of inherent existence with great bliss. And I am such experience. And I remain in that state as long as I can. Okay, which is the state of clear light, which is the first transformation of death into the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the pure body of a Buddha, the pure mind of a Buddha, the pure, very subtle body and mind of a Buddha. So after that, what we do is that as we are in the state of clear light, after some time, We say to ourselves, we say, okay, I cannot stay here forever, even though it's very pleasurable. Because only other Buddhas are able to perceive my Dharmakaya. So, in order to help others, I must manifest myself in a way that we can perceive each other. So, I manifest myself in a more subtle form. And after that, from the state of clear light, in an instant, which is, even if we take an instant and we divide it into parts, it is gradual, okay? But we experience as an instant, there is the whole process of rebirth. Black vision, red vision, white vision, wind, fire, water, and earth. There is the process, inverse process. But we experience as an instant. And the universe appears around us, the world appears around us, and we appear in a subtle body. The subtle body can be seen or as a beam of light, more or less the size of our forearm, okay? Or we can appear as the actual form of the deity, with one face and two arms, white body, because it's said that the color of the very subtle mind and body is actually white. The color of the very subtle wind of the very subtle mind is white. That's why we visualize the being of the bardo in a white color. So we are there and we can visualize ourselves with one face and two arms as the deity, like Vajrasattva or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, or we can also do the practice, and we have Dharma in the practice of Vajrayogini, and we have different forms of doing according to the practice that normally we most do, our idam. But the point is that this type of body, what type of body it is, it's very similar to the body that we have in a dream. Okay? If we think about the state of a dream, if we try to remember the sensation of our body in a dream, not the form, not the shape of the body, I'm talking about the sensation. The sensation of the body in the dream, is it a gross, heavy body or is it a light, subtle body? In the dream. It's light and subtle. The body of the bardo is very, very similar. Also, when we wake up in the bardo, when we wake up in a dream, does the world of the dream appears in an instant or it appears in a gradual way? When we dream. In an instant, right? I fall asleep, everything becomes total darkness, and suddenly I am in the middle of a forest with many lights and animals. Okay, and I myself, when I look, I have the arms of a monkey and the half body of a cow. I don't know. Okay? Anything, in dream anything can happen, okay? So what happens is that if we look, when we dream, can we imagine dreaming? Are we able to imagine that when we dream, how it suddenly, we wake up in a dream and simply everything is there? That's what happens in the bardo also. That's why in an instant we visualize ourselves in the universe in a pure form, and we ourselves are as the deity, or as a beam of light, or because it represents a subtle body, or with a body with one face and two arms, but made of light. Okay? And then in that state of a subtle body, which is the transformation of the bardo into the Sambhogakaya, which is the enjoyment body of a Buddha, the subtle body of a Buddha, we make offerings to all holy beings. We help all sentient beings by emanating light and nectar that goes to their heart and purifies their negativities. And then we go to the Pure Lands. We go to the hell to help the sentient beings. They are there. We can do all of this while we are in the bardo. Okay? Then at a certain point, as we are visualizing ourselves as the deity in this manner, what happens is that, now this part which I have just said, if we look, for example, in the sadhana of Vajrayogini, it is said, we appear first as the 6 syllable BAM, and then the BAM, from the BAM, light emanates, accomplishing the 2 objectives. What are the 2 objectives? Making offerings to holy beings and helping the sentient beings, basically. Okay? So we generate ourselves in the subtle form, and then we make offerings to holy beings, we help sentient beings, everything absorbed back into the subtle body. And then after that, we say to ourselves, okay, but really to be of benefit for sentient beings, I must have a real gross body, because within the subtle body that I have now, only the bodhisattvas that have already gone out of samsara are able to see me. So in really to be able to help the most gross forms of sentient beings, I must manifest myself in a very gross form. So at that moment, I look down and I see from above a lotus flower with a sun and a moon cushion, which is the white and red bodhicitta. And I direct myself into it. And as I enter it, black vision. There is the whole dissolution of the elements. From black vision arises clear light. From clear light arises black vision once again. And from that state, gradually I will generate myself in a gross body. Okay? So, after that there is the red vision, white vision, the subtle mind starts to generate. In the heart, first the central channel and the 4 direction channels and the 4 other intermediate direction channels appears. And then after that, gradually, we have the wind element generates, and then we can start feeling touch and taste. And then after that, we have the fire element, and the heat of the body starts to be generated. And from that also, we can feel smell. And then after that, the water element is being generated. Then the body fluids starts to become more abundant and start to flow around our body, and we can listen. And then after that, the earth element generates, and then we can see and we can feel stability. And after that, then we generate ourselves as the deity. At this point, we have a pure body, but it's a gross body. It's not subtle as before. So we feel we have this gross body. I am in the form of Vajrasattva, or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, or Vajrayogini, whatever practice I am doing. So, by doing it in this way, I am the deity. I am not here, Lama Michel, visualizing myself as the deity. I am the deity. There is a big difference between the two. If I am Lama Michel, seeing myself as Aryatara, okay, what happened basically is like carnival. I'm dressing up as Tara. But I'm not dressing up. I am Aryatara at that moment. And in order to be able to be Aryatara, first I must kill Lama Michel. Because the two things together are not fitting so well. So how I do that? I simulate the process of death. I eliminate this identity, this gross, impure identity that I have. I generate a pure identity through clear light. I then, from the state of clear light, which is a very subtle body, I generate a subtle body. From that, I generate a gross body as the deity. And I am the deity at that point. So these are the 3 transformations that we do. Okay? These 3 transformations, afterwards, we need to adapt it to the moment of sleep and later to the actual death. So the day after tomorrow, we are going to see the actual process of how to adapt the 3 transformations in our sleep. Okay? The very important thing of today, I repeat once again, we need to remember the difference between meditating on the 3 transformations as like watching a movie and actually really simulating it deeply within ourselves, experiencing it. Okay? That's the objective where we want to go with the meditation. Okay? And the only way of doing it is simulating it so many times until we really go into it. We really feel it, actually, and not just something. Even when we receive initiations, no? We shouldn't, like the Guru is saying, now you visualize yourself as the deity, you are in the front of the mandala here and there. The best way of doing it is like really experiencing it. It's like, how to say, when I was a small kid, there was a type of gaming that we used to do, which we call RPG gaming, which is a gaming in which we had dice, and the dice, and then we had a small little, figures, and then we had a book with a story and many rules, And we would like start to enter into the story, and each one of us was a character in the story. And then we needed to make decisions in the moment. And we were creating a whole universe inside of it. And normally people, when they start really playing this, they stay their whole life, they like playing these things, I stopped many years ago, but there are people that go on. And the point is that you enter into that reality and you start acting in the game with the character of your character. And you enter into that and you become that character and you create the whole reality. And it's not just a simple imagination. Whenever you go to play, you enter into that universe. We need to enter into the practice, into being the deity, and to the process of death, and generating ourselves as the deity, and helping sentient beings, and doing all of this. We really need to go into it. Let ourselves flow into that. That's very important. Okay? We need to try to lose control. Because we want to keep control. What I mean by control? No. Sure, we need control, but we need a control in a subtle level of our mind, not in the gross level of our mind. The point is that what I mean by we need to lose control. We need to lose this conceptual way of keeping things under our control. I need to understand what is happening. I must keep under control conceptually everything. We need to understand that once we have familiarized our mind conceptually with something, we should be able to do the same process in a more subtle level. So this is what I mean by losing control, letting ourselves go. And then we gain the real control. We need to have control over our mind. This is no doubt. But what I mean by losing control here is this concept when we try to meditate is like always looking, and am I doing right or am I doing wrong? Is this the right way or is this the wrong way? What I am doing, where I am going, this is the thing. It's this conceptual way of trying to keep control. This is what somehow we need to let go. It's similar when we learn how to play an instrument. Okay, I don't know how to play instruments other than playing the bell and the damaro, okay? What happened is that if we look to someone, some days ago I was watching a lady playing violin, okay? And you look, she played very well the violin. She had her eyes closed, and she was playing it as if it was an extension of her body somehow. And if you look, all the movements she needs to do at the same time. If she's starting to keep control, which finger, at what time, how I do, impossible. So it's by familiarizing so much that it goes in a spontaneous way. You need to let it flow somehow. Okay? It's like the story of one, how do you call it, centopeia. This animal that have 100 legs? Centipede? Okay. And then there was this centipede that knew how to dance very well. Okay. And then came someone, I don't know who was the other animal that came to her and said, "Oh, could you teach me how to dance? You dance in such a wonderful way." And then she started to say, first you put the leg number 52 up. Then you put the leg number 30 behind. And then she started, and then suddenly she got completely messed up and she couldn't dance anymore. Okay? Because she tried to keep control over what she was doing somehow. The point here is that once we know something, first we start intellectually, because it's not something that comes spontaneously. First I meditate in this way, then I do this, then I do that, then I do this, then I do that, then again and again and again. Once we know the process and we know what we should do, then we should let it flow. That's the important thing. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsel tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin Ninsen takto delek pe koncho sumgi jingi lom koncho sumgi ngodrup sol koncho sumgi trashisho. Oma hun tembala me sangye rimbo, chekyobala me tamcho rimbo, rimbala me gendo rimbo, kyabne kuncho sumla chepa. Locho sambo pagyu trashi pa, tuche tempe tinle yarngot, pegye drolo zambe zebrache, pande lame shela chepa. Om ahum, om ahum, om ahum.